Hey gang, what's up? Hope everybody's doing well out there today, and welcome back here to Intuitive Angling. Much appreciated you guys joining me for today's video. Guys, today I'm going to share with you something Larry Nixon told me while I was fishing with him probably close to 30 years ago that has stayed with me my whole career, probably some of the best fishing advice I've ever heard, and we're going to get into that, and I'm going to share it with you guys, and hopefully it'll help you guys out as well. Also, guys, want to remind you about our new shopping feature here on Intuitive Angling. If you guys notice, the bottom of the screen, there's a bunch of items in there. It says view products. That's some items that YouTube lets us put in there, 30 products every day. And if you buy something off of that online product selection there, the channel gets a small percentage of that sale, so it's much appreciated to support that. Okay guys, here was the deal, man. This was probably one of the most enlightening days I've ever spent on the water. I drew Larry Nixon in a Bassmaster Invitational on Truman Lake back in, God, it had to have been in the late 80s. It was a long time ago. I'd only been fishing for, bass for a couple of years. So it's probably, God, it was probably either 88 or 89, something like that, a long time ago. But anyway, this was a tough tournament. We were fishing at Truman Lake there. And it was the last day of the tournament when Larry and I drew each other out. And Larry was like right on the bubble for making a check. He was maybe, I think they paid like 40 places back then, and he was like in 37th or 38th. And I was a few places below him there, a little bit lower on there. So we decided to take Larry's boat and, go to his fish first over there. The area that I was fishing was like on a completely different part of the lake. So we sort of had to make a decision to stay with his fish. So anyway, one of the things that I've always tried to do when I drew these great anglers, like I fished with Clun and Roland Martin and Hank Parker, Nixon. I always tried to probe them and learn as much as I can. I felt that even if I didn't do that good fishing with them during the day, what I would learn from them in the long run would pay off big time, and it did with Larry. So anyway, Larry was fishing a square bill crankbait in deeper standing timber for suspended fish. He was actually, throwing the crankbait up over like 15 to 20 foot of water, a square bill Bagley Balsa B3 back then, and that's how he was catching his fish. So one of the things that I asked him about mid part of the day, I said, Larry, I go, if there's one piece of advice that you can give me that would help me out in my career, and I was just starting out then, I go, what would it be? And he thought about it for a while. He didn't answer for 15 or 20 seconds, and he goes, you got to learn to fish like you don't give a crap if you're going to catch one or not. And that's not the answer I expected out of him. And then I started talking to him about it, and it made perfect sense, because if you go out there and you don't care about the result, and you don't get anxious, and you don't focus on if you're catching or not, and you just go out there and fish like you don't care what's happening, more than likely you're going to do better than if you try to force it. And I learned the hard way on this, because what happened was over the next 3 or 4 years, it's like I would push it super hard, and I try to force things to happen. I try to force techniques to work that weren't working. And I had some struggling years for 2 or 3 years after that, until I really started understanding what Larry was telling me about how you have to fish like you don't give a crap. And I found this out by, it was basically that it was forced upon me, because this is what happened, and this is how I really figured out the wisdom of what Larry told me. There was a bunch of tournaments out there that the first day of the tournament, I was all balls to the wall, gung-ho, and I'd go out and I'd catch 1 or 2 fish, and I'd be way down in the standings. I'd be in the bottom 25%, basically to where I would have to catch the biggest sack of the tournament the next day just to get a check. And almost without exception, guys, I would go out there the next day and I would catch a good bag of fish, because I was so far out of it, and I was so far out of the tournament because I did so poorly the first day that it didn't really make that much difference how I did. And more than not, I would catch a really good bag of fish, because again, I was fishing like I didn't care. It's like, I'd pull up to a spot, and it's like, if I didn't catch one, no big deal. I wouldn't get in a big hurry. I just, slowly and patiently, you know, decide what I wanted to do next or make an adjustment and make that adjustment, I was relaxed. I wouldn't get in a big hurry. I didn't have this tension in my solar plex if I wasn't catching them, because I just didn't give a crap, because I was so far out of making a check that it paid off. It's like over and over again, it paid off. So the advice I want to give you guys from what Larry told me there, without having to go through the same learning thing I forced upon myself after that, is that when you're out on the water, sort of make a mental shift that you have to settle down and you have to relax, and you got to calm your breathing, and you don't have to jerk that trolling motor up and run to the back seat and put your life jacket on and go balls to the wall to the next place. Slowly pull that trolling motor up, stretch a little bit, sit down on the floor of the boat and tie on a different bait, and slowly move to your driver's seat and cruise on to your next spot. By doing that, the tension and the anxiety falls away from you by just taking that deep breath and relaxing and slowing down. And then when you do that, you can make better decisions. It's like your casting is better, your accuracy is better, your thought, you know, process is a lot clearer, and you're just a lot more centered and focused than you are if you're just hard charging and trying to force something to happen that's not really happening. So anyway, guys, take it from Larry. Go out there and fish like you don't give a crap if you're going to catch one or not, and more than likely you'll start catching more than you've ever caught. So hope it helps out. We'll see you guys.